Hello, hello. Welcome back. I am currently streaming live onto my YouTube channel, as well as my private Facebook group, The Profit Factor, and my business page, The Chic CFO. As always, I'm going to hop over to Facebook and just make sure that we are actually streaming live and that you guys can see and hear me. So I'm taking a look on my other screen. We are there. So we're up and running. It looks like we already have a couple people on. If you are here, go ahead and say hello in the comments and let me know. My name is Danae Wolf. I'm a financial clarity coach and profit strategist. What exactly does that mean? It's really easy. It just means that I am here to help you guys understand the money side of your business. I believe that we all started our businesses for one reason, to make money. And if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. So my goal through my Facebook community and my YouTube channel is to help you guys understand the money side of things. So today we are specifically going to be talking about the 1099. Okay, I'm sure that you guys have been seeing a lot of different stuff about this online. Your accountant has probably been emailing you because we are approaching the deadline, and there's been some pretty interesting changes for 2020, which is why I wanted to do this video. So let's start with, what is the 1099? Well, the 1099 is a report that you guys will file so that you are able to record and report any income that you paid out to independent contractors. And we'll get into what I mean when I say independent contractor in a little bit here. But basically the 1099 is a form where you report all of the payments that you have made to certain independent contractors. So why do we have to do this? Why do we have to report the payments that we've made them? Well, it's because the IRS wants to make sure that everyone is reporting their income. So think about it like this. If you pay an independent contractor, say, $2,000 last year, right? Let's say you paid them $2,000 for services they provided to you. Well, maybe that person tries to skate under the radar and doesn't want to report their income to the IRS. In order to protect themselves, the IRS has this 1099 form, which means that you are responsible to report that income. So even if the contractor tried to, skate under the radar and not report it, the IRS is still going to find out that you paid that $2,000 because you yourself are going to report it. Now, in order for you to prepare these 1099s, you're going to need a couple of things. So I want to break down for you what you're going to need. You're going to need, from each recipient, so each person that you're going to be providing a 1099 to, and as we go on, I will tell you exactly who you need to provide 1099s to, but you're going to need their W-9 form, okay? It is super easy to get this form. I'll link one below in the comments, but it's literally just from irs.gov. And this W-9 form is going to give you things such as their name, address, and their taxpayer ID. Now, I want to give a little quick tip here. If you are yourself a contractor, right? So you might be in a situation where you're an entrepreneur who not only has to issue 1099s for people who have done services for you, but you might also be in a position where your clients owe you a 1099. It means you're going to have to fill out a W-9. Now, you do not need to have an EIN number, which is a taxpayer ID, in order to do this. You can, in fact, fill out a W-9 with your social security number, but you're going to have to hand these W-9s to your clients. And I am not a fan of your social security number sort of floating around town. So if we can avoid that, I love to avoid it. So that's just a little side note. You're going to have to get a W-9 before you can file anyone's 1099, and you yourself might have to provide your clients with W-9s. And I just encourage you to consider getting an EIN number so that you don't have to put your social security number on this document. It is completely free to get an EIN number. You can get it right on irs.gov, and it's going to take you less than 10 minutes. So just some food for thought, but I digress. So back to our regularly scheduled program. You are going to need to get a W-9 from this service provider. You're going to prepare and send the 1099s to each independent contractor who did work for you. And you're also going to submit the form to the IRS, because remember, the high-level point of this is the IRS wants to make sure that us entrepreneurs are reporting our income. So you're going to send it to the contractor, and you're also going to send a copy, which will go by Form 1096, to the IRS. But you will send to states when applicable. Now, I've listed for you right here, these are the states that do not require you to submit a 1099. So go ahead and screenshot it. Wanted to do a quick smile so you guys don't, do a screenshot and I'm like this or something like that. But go ahead and screenshot this. And these are going to be the states that do not require a 1099. So it'll be a good point of reference for you. So if you know it's Nevada or New Hampshire, you don't have to worry about that step. But everyone else, if your state is not listed here, you're going to be submitting always to the contractor, always to the IRS, and possibly to the state. So now that you guys understand that you have to provide this form to your independent contractors, you're going to have to provide it to the IRS and potentially the state. I want to get down to the difference for 2020, and then don't worry, we're going to get back to who exactly needs this form. You guys know it's independent contractors, but I'm going to give you more details, so stay tuned. So, what is new for 2020? In the past, we have filed everything that we have to send to the independent contractors or to our landlords, and we'll be getting into that as the video progresses, but we filed all of it under one form. It was called the 1099 Miscellaneous Form. This year, we've got introduced to us the 1099 NEC. So the 1099 NEC is a new form. It stands for the non-employee compensation. This is currently defined as payments to an individual that's not on payroll, okay? So what does that mean when I say not on payroll? It means that these are independent contractors. These are not your W-2 employees, okay? So this is going to include independent contractors, gig workers, self-employed individuals, okay? This is not your W-2 employees, because those will get W-2s issued from your payroll company. But if you employ contractors in your business, or let's say your virtual assistant, right? Contractor, your bookkeeper, contractor, you are going to need to issue 1099s to them if they meet certain criteria. So, what is the criteria? Who are these independent contractors that we have to submit Form 1099 NEC to? Well, the first requirement is that you had to have paid them more than $600 in the previous year. So if you paid any independent contractors more than $600 in 2020, you're going to need to send them a 1099 NEC unless, okay, here's another caveat here. If that independent contractor is taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp, you do not need to send them a 1099 NEC, even if you paid them more than $600. Now, there's another caveat that I find that most people are not aware of. If you paid the contractor via PayPal or credit card, you do not need to issue them a 1099. Why is that? It's because the credit card company or PayPal actually reports their income. So they're already reporting that information and data to the IRS, so you don't have to. But if you paid the contractor with a check or with cash or even with your debit card, you do in fact need to file this form. All right. So again, this is going to be an independent contractor. So they are not a W-2 employee. They are going to have been paid more than $600 for the year. They are not taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp. And you paid them with cash, check, or a debit card. Those are the individuals who are going to get a 1099 NEC form from you. You paid them with your credit card or PayPal. You do not need to file this form for them. Now, I want to point something out because now that you guys know who you have to submit this form for, you're probably thinking, okay, so where do I download this form? So you actually cannot download a 1099 NEC. All right, so let me explain why this is, because you can very easily Google the document and you can pull it up. And I've had a lot of entrepreneurs say, oh, well, I'll just print it out and mail it. So the forms actually are scanned into the IRS. So because they're scannable, you can't just print it on your computer at home. So you actually need to either order the form from the IRS, and then it'll come in the mail, and it'll be one of those scannable copies, or you can register to be able to file these online. Now, in order to do that, you have to register with the IRS fire system, okay? Now, in order to use the fire system, and I'm noticing that bar is a little bit high. Let me sit up a little bit more. In order to use the fire system, you're going to need what's called a transmitter control code, TCC. Now, this has to be requested either via a fax you could send or mailing in form 4419. So you'll literally be able to Google, IRS, form 4419. And this is the form that you're going to have to either mail in or fax in order to get this TCC code so that you can register for the fire system so that you are able to do this electronically. Or, like I said, you can, where did I write? Right there. You are able to do it via the mail as long as you go online and order the form from the IRS. So when are these due? Well, they're going to be due January 31st unless that day happens to fall on a weekend, then it'll be due the next business day. So for this example, for this year, they're actually due Monday, February 1st, because of course, January 31st is a Sunday. Now, this is when you have to have these forms over to the recipient. Okay, so who's the recipient? It's that contractor who did work for us. But they're not going to be due to the IRS until March 1st if you're mailing them, and March 31st if you're filing them electronically. So why that discrepancy there? Why do we have more time? Well, remember, I said if you want to file these electronically, you're going to have to register with the fire system, which can take 30 days. So that's why you've got a little bit more time here. But it's important that you have this out to your independent contractors by February 1st. And it looks like I have a couple of questions here. Let's see. All right, so we will get back to those questions because those are actually going to be asked in a couple more of these bullet points. Okay, so now let's get into the 1099 miscellaneous. Now remember, in the past, we issued a 1099 miscellaneous to all of our independent contractors. Now, moving forward, the independent contractors are going to have their own form. They're now going to use that 1099 non-employee compensation, the NEC, okay? So now what do we do with this miscellaneous form? Well, besides independent contractors, there's others who also require you to file a 1099 for them. So the most common ones is going to be your landlord, okay? Typically, if you have rent, you're going to have to issue them a 1099 if you've paid, more than $600 in rent. You also would have to do this if you had any type of a legal settlement and there was some type of a court case and the funds were, dispersed to an attorney. Again, this is not if you are paying your attorney for services, right? If your attorney, you paid him more than $600 in the year for his services as an attorney, and he is not an S Corp and he is not a C Corp, and you paid him with a check, cash, or debit card, he or she is going to get that NEC form. But if you were involved in some type of a case where there was a settlement that you had to pay out, right? Let's say somebody sued you and you had to send them $5,000 and you sent it to their lawyer, you would need to give the 1099 miscellaneous form to that lawyer. So this miscellaneous, when it comes to an attorney, it is not for their services rendered. It is specifically for legal settlements. Or let's say you did any type of a prize, right? You did a raffle, you gave somebody, $1,000, because they won your raffle. You would provide that individual with a 1099 miscellaneous form. Or let's say you paid somebody a royalty. Maybe you're a franchise. As long as you paid at least $10 in royalties to someone, you have to provide them with the 1099 miscellaneous form. Okay? So now you guys know independent contractors are going to get the 1099 NEC form if you paid them more than $600 in the year, they are not an S Corp or C Corp, and you paid them via cash, check, or debit card. You don't have to send this if the independent contractor was paid less than $600 or is a C Corp, an S Corp, or you paid them via credit card or PayPal. All right, so that's who we have to send that form to. We have to send the miscellaneous form to anyone that we paid royalties of at least $10 to, if we paid out any type of settlements, legal settlements, or prizes, and to our landlords, which is going to be the most common and popular one. All right, that's going to use 1099 miscellaneous form, and we owe these to the recipient by January 31st. But this year it's going to be Monday, February 1st, because January 31st happens to fall on a Sunday. All right. So just recapping that, rehashing that. I know this can be a complex matter. And in case you are someone who says, auditor learning doesn't work for me, right? Like you're listening to me and you're watching the video, but you're like, I'd really love to read this. I've got you covered, okay? I've written a long form blog post on this and I've got it linked in the comments below, along with a graphic that is super cute, but also super useful because it is a chart that you can follow, which will help you determine whether or not somebody is owed a 1099. And what I am going to do here for you guys is I am going to pull it up real quick so that you are able to see. So when you go to my blog post, which will be linked below, this is the blog post that you guys will be able to read all the details in case you would prefer to read it. It's going to have all the steps you have to take, and then I've got this fabulous graphic that you can answer the questions and follow through to see whether or not you actually have to pay the individual or file a 1099 for the individual. So definitely check out that blog and resource that is linked below in the comments. So now you're probably wondering, what do I do? Here are the exact next steps you have to take, okay? I want you to gather the W-9s for all of the individuals that you are going to owe a 1099 to, okay? So go to my blog, get that graphic, follow the chart, answer the questions, and determine who you have to issue 1099s to. Then the first step is you're going to gather their W-9s. Remember, you can go right to irs.gov and get that form, and I've also linked it below. The second thing you're going to do is gather how much you have paid the recipient. So you need to know down to the penny how much money you paid them in 2020. Then the third thing I want you to do is to determine whether or not the state requires you to file. Remember, we talked earlier about how certain states require you to also submit the 1099 form to them. So you're going to want to check that out and see if the state requires it. And then you could hire me if you'd like to. Shameless plug here. I am very capable of helping you guys do this. I would love to be able to issue your 1099s for you if, in fact, it is something that you need help with. But I'll also tell you, you're very capable of doing this on your own. So here are some things you can do. You could hire a pro, such as myself, to do this for you, or you could do it yourself by contacting the IRS, asking them to have the forms mailed to you, right? And then doing everything via the mail, or setting up the fire system, right? Getting all of that set up so that you're able to file online, or you could use a service such as yearly.com or Track 1099. And like I said, in the link in comments, I have a blog post there that is going to cover this topic in much more detail and provide you links to the documents that you need in question. If you guys have any further questions for me, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. We don't follow and monitor the comments on YouTube as much, but if you head over to my Facebook group, which I hope to see you in, it is called The Profit Factor. We are talking about stuff like this all the time. Go ahead and @ me at Danae Wolf so that I'm tagged in your question and I will get right back to you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a really easy time getting these 1099s done, and I promise it's not as bad